Gary Cherone is here today. We had a great talk. And unless you've been living under a rock for the last 35 years, you know Gary is the singer for Extreme. And he was also the singer in this band called Van Halen for a few years. So he's got some great wisdom, experience, stories, and perspective. And this new album Extreme has out called Six is amazing. It's an eclectic mix of great rock songs with some of the best guitar work you're probably ever going to hear. And it's an early front runner for my album of the year. So we're going to dive deep into the album with Gary coming right up.
This Chuck, right?
Yeah. Chuck Shute podcast, just named after myself. Easy to remember. Should have remember like Rock Talk with Chuck or anything like that. Just one thing. So easy.
Okay.
Yeah. So great to have you on. Been a bucket list interview for a few years. So now you guys have a new album. So you have something to promote. So
Yes.
thanks for coming on the show. So new album, Six. I figured out it's probably called Six because it's a six record. But explain the cover art, because it's a close-up of a gorilla's face. It's cool. It's got like red eyes, but what is the significance there?
Nuno came up with that, and we had a few different ideas. We're all putting our own interpretation into it. I think his first initial thing was it looked primal, and the music was, aggressive. Not all, Extreme can be eclectic on the record. There's lots of, there's a spectrum of music, but, and for me, when I looked at the gorilla, when I saw it, I go, okay, all right. It's powerful. It's a powerful image. There's passion in it. I see an older, maybe wiser gorilla. So I might be pouring in some of the things I'd like people to think that Extreme is, but to look at it, it's a pretty striking image, and maybe the first thing would be primal.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. All right, yeah, I was just like, that's interesting, because there's no songs about that or anything. But now, who produced this album? Production's great. Oh, Nuno produced it himself?
Oh yeah. He's had a production, and he's had his hands in all of the production throughout the records. We've worked with different engineers and producers at the time, but I think this is Nuno's best effort to date as far as production.
Yeah, I mean, there's some heavy songs or slower songs. There's amazing guitar work. I feel like it's more mature songwriting. Again, the good production. I love personally the variety of the heavy and the acoustic, the happy and the dark. It's kind of like this journey that the band took, and I'm older now too, so I'm with you guys. Is that kind of like what you were kind of going for, more of a mature sound?
I think so. I think it's just we don't plan it out. It's just what we write. We try to write always honestly. With this, we had a bunch of material, and it took us a second there to whittle down what we wanted to present. Even 15 songs or 10 songs. People have this short attention span, and we're like, well, we haven't put out a record in so long. 12 is a good number. Let's give them a variety of what we are, because Extreme's always been like that, from Get the Funk Out to More Than Words, and everything in between. So I also like the fact that some songs are darker, some songs are deeper lyrically. There's some lighter moments on there to clean the palette, and so I think it's going to please Extreme fans, and I also think that we've done some new things. Rise, for instance, our first single. I think it's something new, a little bit more, maybe a little bit more primal. The riff is, there's a simplicity to that riff. Not the solo. The solo.
No. Yeah, that's a cool song. Like I mean, I would call that like Chuck rock. Like that's like my kind of rock. It's got that melodic sing along chorus, but it's heavy, and it's got I think it's got 500,000 listens on Spotify. Are you pretty happy with the response so far that you've gotten from that one?
Yeah, actually, I spoke to Nuno the other day. Getting ready for all these interviews, we're overwhelmed by the response. We didn't know. I mean, we got 1 million views on, over 1 million on YouTube, and so we're blown away. Most of the reaction has been positive. So, and I'm just saying to myself, I think that's a good song, but I don't think it's the best song on the record. So I can't wait to, we're going to be releasing probably mid-April another video. There'll be probably 2 or 3 out before the record.
What's the next one?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, okay. Well, the second song on the record is called Rebel. And that's
Right.
also, it's kind of in the same vein of Rise,
Yeah.
heavy rockin' song, real catchy riff. What is the lyric, bury the truth, repeat the lie? What is that about?
Yeah, a hashtag rebel. It's actually, it's a critique of all the keyboard warriors out there, these faux revolutionaries hiding behind their keyboard, trying to tear down institutions with no solution. Sorry to rhyme there, but so it's more of the chorus is, you talking to me? What are you saying? Don't tear something down unless you have, it's in the end, it's easier to tear things down than to build things up. So calling out those keyboard warriors.
Is that how you deal with, because you must have had criticism from Extreme, and then your time in Van Halen now, and now with the internet and everything, there must be criticisms, trolls and things. Is that how you deal with it? Like writing a song? I mean, obviously I don't think that you would respond.
Yeah. I mean, you could relate it to that. This song wasn't, a reaction to criticism, personal criticism or criticism of the band. It's funny. I say, I was in Van Halen, so all the criticism I got, nothing can hurt me.
Yeah. Does that ever get to you though? I mean, you could look at your career and go, I mean, you've sold all these records, you've done all these amazing things and tours and all this, played Fenway Park with Aerosmith, but then you could listen to that criticism too. Do you just try to block it out, or how do you?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, not only that, just through your life, you could dwell on it. It's so funny, and I'm guilty of it. I'm sure people are. You could get 100 compliments, but the one negative thing is the one you remember. And so that's something that you have to. You mature. You get old enough. It's just like, listen, if you don't paint a picture and put it out in the world if you don't want criticism. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. Not everyone's going to like Extreme, if it hurts my feelings, okay, I'll quit. I'll go home and I won't play anymore. That ain't going to happen. So
it's never gotten that bad. I mean, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so back to the record. The other song, Banshee. So I had to look that up. I was like, that sounds. I feel like I should know what that is. Is that an Irish folklore? It's the spirit of a wailing woman. Is that what inspired that?
Yeah, it's so funny. You said you had to look it up. So did I. When I was doing research on that song, I think that's one of the lighter moments. I think that's a fun song, more to the center of what Extreme is. With the riff and lyrical. It's a little campy. Banshee is like a female seductress or demon, luring you in or warning you of an impending death or something. So I went, okay, females and death, two subjects I like to write about. Okay, I thought, I stretched the meaning a bit. But it was Pat. I think it was Pat. We were looking for something with a certain vowel in this riff that Nuno gave me, and he came up with Banshee, and I actually said what you said. I said, okay, let me look this up. Banshee. What the hell is a Banshee? People have a general sense of what a Banshee is.
Yeah.
A screaming Banshee. but to see, see the root of that. So I did some research and kind of incorporated some of the, the folklore in, but it's just a song about, a succubus,
Okay. That's interesting that you say about the vowel sound. I remember like I had Robin Wilson from the Gin Blossoms on, and he was saying how he used a rhyming dictionary to do you have to do that sometimes to kind of like make the song fit? You have to kind of put words that rhyme. You have to look it up in a rhyming dictionary, or
it's funny. It's a lot easier to write now because you have the internet. Back then, you had a rhyming book. And I don't even think, I think of Bob Dylan, he did it without anything, but then that's Dylan. If you get stuck on a word, I don't think it's cheating. You look at a rhyming dictionary and you'll see a word that you would never have thought of, and it might take you to another place. So I think it's a great tool.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Other Side of the Rainbow, that was a cool, like a slow, dark melodic, cool bass line in that one. What about Small Town Beautiful? That's kind of like an acoustic ballad, real catchy. I feel like it's like a radio friendly sing-along song. Is that a reference to a specific small town? Because I love small towns. Or is it just like you love small towns?
Yeah, I came from a small town as well. I think that song is typical Extreme. I think it does have single potential. We have that in our back pocket. Small Town Beautiful was inspired, and we don't know this girl, but I remember me and Nuno on tour, we're doing a meet and greet. He tells the story better. We're doing a meet and greet, and we're meeting fans and signing things. And we noticed this girl off in the distance, not gorgeous, she just had us, we're going, wow, she had this peculiar look on her face, looking off in the distance. And we both noticed her, and we go, she's from a small town. And I think it was Nuno or me said beautiful. And we go, oh, there's a title right there, Small Town Beautiful. And then we had it in our back pocket for a while. And Nuno came up with this music, and that was it. So we married that lyric to that. So
that's a cool one. Yeah. And then The Mask, that's a fun one too. It reminds me of like a 90s, maybe Seattle sound a little bit. Who is singing that with you? That's not just you, is it? There's a guest vocalist?
Right. That is Mr. Betancourt himself singing the verses.
That's him? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, we did a lot of trade-offs on, The Mask. Nuno does the verses, I come in with the choruses, and then it's more me at the end. But that was Nuno.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, explain the lyrics of that one too, because it's really interesting. Rip off your mask, show me who you are. Rip off my mask, show you who I am. I'll take the blame. Something about like, I'll take the blame for my sins, but I won't take the blame for what you imagine. Like, oh, that's really powerful.
That lyric's more, confessional, as far as taking off the mask and showing your true nature, that we're all sinners, we're all saints, we're all good, we're all bad. And it was just pretty much that. And musically it's aggressive. I think it's going to translate live. Be a fun one to do live because of the groove, and I think it has a pretty catchy chorus.
Absolutely, yeah. And then there's two songs that kind of have this like industrial synth sound to it, Thicker Than Blood and X Out. Like, whose idea is to put in the industrial sounds on those songs, and how did you guys do that?
Yeah, Nuno worked with a couple guys that program. And we were always open to that, and that was one of the tracks that we didn't question. We wanted those tracks on the record. There was a few more that we didn't develop, but we knew that those would stand out from what people's perception of what Extreme is, and that's where the second half of the record gets pretty eclectic. What did you say? You said Thicker Than Blood and X Out, right?
Yeah, those are the two industrial ones that kind of have that kind of industrial sound
right,
on it. Yeah.
right. So this, there's obviously the Nuno leads within those songs that are classic Nuno. I don't know, uh, to me, when I hear that, whether it's a guitar, for me, the thing that catches me is the groove. If you can move to it, and it's industrial. I wouldn't call it electronica, but it's got that vibe. And for me, and when I write, that almost inspires a different type of writing, a different type of melody. Thicker than blood. I'll laugh because probably when you hear it again, I was trying to channel a little David Bowie,
Mm.
in the verses, and so that's what the music does to me. And Thicker Than Blood is another one of the heavier, has a little heavier lyrical content. That was, it's funny. You think of today, what we're living through with all the division and all the tribalism going on, and in times of fear and anxiety, we're at each other's throats, and everybody kind of recoils back into their own tribe. And it might sound cliche, but the only thing that transcends that tribalism, whether it's black, white, gay, straight, whatever, or red, blue, everybody's always fighting. I thought lyrically, the only thing that can transcend is if love can transcend that. That your neighbor has the same wants and needs that you have, even the stranger. So I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but that's one of the heavier tracks on the record.
No, that's cool. I love that. It's funny. My dad used to say, like, I don't hate anybody. I remember that when I was a kid, and I was like, and this was like, I was growing up in Seattle in like the 80s. I was like, you don't hate Ted Bundy? Cause he was like, this big serial killer. My dad's like, I hate some people's behaviors, but I don't hate anybody. I was like, oh, okay. So that always stuck with me. So that just kind of reminded me of what you just said. Like, you just love everybody. It may be hard sometimes, but you may hate some of the things you do, but no, that's good.
Yeah.
The song Hurricane, that's a beautiful song. Is that also Nuno trading off with you on vocals? It's kind of like kind of like a Kansas Dust in the Wind kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's probably the most elegant, delicate, quiet. It's funny. It comes after Thicker Than Blood, which is noisy. And Nuno and I sequencing the record. This was like a palate cleanse. It was like after Thicker Than Blood and the mayhem going on in that song, here comes this just gorgeous, guitar and the vocal, the way Nuno approached his lead and my lead. It was just very quiet. Thematically, that came from Nuno. He had a loss. He had a very close, dear friend of his pass, and the song was about that. And Hurricane, navigating through the storm of loss. And I like the line that he flipped. This is the storm before the calm. Meaning, when something happens to you, you go through the 7 points of grief and anger and all that, and then you reach a peace. So it's funny. I overheard someone going over the track list and one of those reaction videos, and they're going, Hurricane. Oh man, I can't wait to hear that one. That's good. That sounds like a heavy song. And it's probably the lightest song of the record. The quietest song.
Yeah.
And Nuno's and I's voice in that range, it's almost interchangeable. Our tones, you don't know when I'm coming in or when Nuno's, leaving.
That is cool. And then the song, when I first saw the title, Beautiful Girls, I was like, oh, is this a cover of the Van Halen song? And it's like, no, it's totally different, but it might be my favorite song. I mean, I really like Rise, but it's so catchy. It's a poppy. It reminds me of like Train, the band Train, Hey Soul Sister, something kind of like that. I could totally see this in a TV show or commercial. Do you have big plans for that song? Like doing something like that with it?
That would be, it would be up to the audience, you know, if the demands for it. That is probably the lightest moment, you know, lyrically. It's fun. Again, it comes after X Out, which is, you know, that kind of industrial
Right.
noise fest. And then here comes this almost calypso summertime song, you know, celebrating, you know, at the end of the day, men celebrate women. And that's what we were doing. Beautiful girls. Yeah, I can see it being played with the windows down, you know, cruising the beach, you know.
Is that one you'd play live?
Probably. I don't know if we're going to be able to play all these songs. You know, it depends on if we're doing our own tour, most likely. But if we're doing, you know, if we're doing a one-off festival and we got an hour, which we're doing at the end of April, you know, we'll play probably the songs that we've released from this record, Rise, and maybe another track. But you know, those hour shows, you know, we got to do the Decadence dances and the Get the Funk Outs and the More Than Words, all that stuff.
The hits, yeah. With Get the Funk Out, that's such a great song. Did you ever, when you play it live, did you ever consider just calling it Get the Fuck Out? Do you say that when you play it live? Well, actually, or was it always Get the Funk Out?
Well, we got away with it. We got away with it recording it by saying Get the Funk Out, but there is a few times in the radio version that I say fuck, you know.
Really? You snuck it
in the recording. Yeah, it's there. It's there. And live, I don't know. We've done it so long. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying at this point. Probably interchangeable, you know.
Yeah. That album is like, I mean, does that mean anything to you to have those accolades from the Pornograffiti album? Like Rolling Stone calls it, and it's weird because it's always the 50 greatest hair metal, and Ultimate Classic Rock said it was a top 30 glam metal. I mean, to me, it's all over. It's rock. I don't know. Some of that songs, I wouldn't call it glam metal, but I mean, it's nice to have those accolades, right?
Yeah. And I don't, you know, that doesn't bother me. You know, that's just a period that the band came out of. We never considered ourselves hair metal or glam. Did we have big hair? Yeah. But our music was a little left the center of what was going on in the LA scene. You know, we came from the East Coast, and, you know, we grew up on Aerosmith, and, you know, we thought we had a different groove than some of those other bands. Some of those bands are great, you know, the success of those bands, but we always felt we were a little outside that. So I don't mind them saying that. But as far as Porno, you know, that the success of that and the ride we took after that, you know, with More Than Words and Wholehearted, you know, we were hanging on for dear life. We went from clubs to, you know, backing up Jovi, you know, ZZ Top, you know, Bryan Adams, you know, again, we're playing a 150 seat club 1 month. And then there's post More Than Words success, and we're at Wembley Stadium with Bryan Adams. You know, it was a crazy ride. So, and as far as musically, it's one of our best records. You know, it was cohesive. We wrote that on the road when we were on our first tour. You know, we had a record under our belt. You know, we were full of piss and vinegar. We knew what we were doing at that point. You know, we kind of found our identity. So I think that to this day, that and Three Sides to Every Story kind of represent, you know, we found ourselves.
Yeah. The Three Sides, that album is I feel like it's very underrated. I know that you guys did that Freddie Mercury tribute show. I think that was in the middle of the recording of that album. After you did that show, and, you know, Brian May has named Nuno as one of the best guitarists, and you guys like got critical acclaim for that show. Did that kind of inspire to change some of the things in recording Three Sides and go, hey, maybe we can branch out? Because I do feel like there's some Queen influences in that album.
Yeah, but that all came before that. You know, the Freddie Mercury show didn't influence that record. We were, you know, because of the success of Pornograffiti, now we had the label and we had the money to do what we really wanted to do. And to this day, I think Three Sides is better than Porno. I mean, comparing apples and oranges, but we thought it was a better record production wise, you know, song wise. Maybe the record company were looking for, you know, More Than Words Part 2. We never intended to repeat ourselves, but we went in there, and sure, our Queen influences were always there. But if anything, that Queen taught us was that we were not going to be pigeonholed. We were going to do a song like When I First Kissed You or 7 Sundays off of 3 Sides. So Queen taught us, what we learned from Queen is that eclecticism works.
Yes.
You know, and so again, the success of Pornograffiti got us to meet our heroes. We were friends with Brian at the time. When Freddie passed, he invited us to dinner and asked, you know, and at that time it was like, he was saying, we're going to do the biggest show in rock history, you know, to tribute Freddie, and we want you to be in it. And we were like, you know, we're eating our dinner, you know, looking at each other, you know, and so by the time, you know, we were recording 3 Sides Every Story, so we were by day we were recording, at night we were rehearsing the Queen medley, and we had it down. And I look back on when I do watch it, and you know, when I do watch it, I'm just happy that we didn't screw up. You know, we all played well, and so when we got off stage, we were like looking at each other. You do good. Yeah. You feel good. Yeah. It sound good. You know, and so yeah, that to me is still the pinnacle of Extreme. That day. You know,
was that better than even playing Fenway with Aerosmith?
Oh, that was right up there. It's funny. We played Fenway just a couple months ago, you know, last September, I think. And even though it was one show, it was like, we're playing Fenway Park. We're backing up Aerosmith, our hometown heroes. And we put that without a doubt in the top, you know, 3 gigs that Extreme's ever done. So to do that, you know, 25 years later, you know, very, very fortunate.
Very cool. Well, I hope you guys hit Arizona or somewhere close so I can try. I've never seen you guys live.
What? You're too
young.
young.
I lived in Seattle in the 90s. I don't think you guys were coming to Seattle in the 90s. So now I live in Arizona. So, you know, Vegas, LA, I'm like just a few hours away. So I'd love to check you guys out. Now I always end each episode promoting a charity. Is there one that you've worked with before that you want to promote, a nonprofit or?
I have a private one, so I'd rather keep that to myself, but thank you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, people should definitely get this new album. They can pre-order it now, right?
Yeah. It's coming out June 9th. By June 9th, we'll have a few more single videos out there, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised.
No, I love it. Yeah, it's a great album. I mean, it's one of those things where it reminds me a little bit of the eclecticism is like Use Your Illusions, which I personally love. Yeah. I know people love Appetite, which is great too, but I love the eclecticism on it, and every song is different. And like some of it, I mean, if you listen to what was the Beautiful Girls and Rise, I mean, it doesn't even sound like the same band. So, but to me, that's like amazing. I think it's great. So I love it. Thank you so much, Gary. I'll let you get to your next interview.
You got it. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, man. Nice to meet you, brother.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks again to Gary, and mark your calendar, June 9th, new Extreme album titled 6. If you're listening to this and it's after June 9th, then it's already out. You can grab it right now. So great album. I really enjoyed the interview with Gary as well. If you enjoyed it, please support the show and the band by sharing the interview, liking and commenting, and with posts on social media, YouTube, all that good stuff. You can do the same for the band. And if you don't buy a physical copy of the album, you can also help the band by buying some merch or a ticket to the show. The band appreciates your support. I appreciate your support of the show. Have a great day. Shoot for the moon.